Welcome to the Charlotte Coliseum, the Southeast Regional semifinals, and tonight it's the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest, seeded number 5, against the top-seeded Kentucky Wildcats. Hello again, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton, and the Kentucky Wildcats are probably playing as well, if not better, than any team in the tournament so far, and Rick Pitino is on a drive to get him to the Final Four and perhaps win yet another championship. Kentucky will play the winner, of course, of our first game, which was Florida State defeating Western Kentucky in overtime in Saturday's Southeast Regional Final, and the winner going on to New Orleans and the Final Four next week. With me is Al McGuire, and Al, everyone has been talking about one thing concerning this game, and that is the much heralded matchup between Jamal Mashburn of Kentucky and Rodney Rogers of Wake Forest, along with Calvert Cheney, 2 of the 3 best players in the country.
Well, these 2 guys are players of the 90s. They got the bodies of the 90s. They can score from three-point land. The new idols out there are Charles Barkley and Karl Malone, the big, strong bodies. I think that Mashburn is better from the outside down and has a better supporting cast, but Rogers can carry a team all by himself with the extreme strength.
One thing that we were told is that Mashburn won't guard Rogers all night, and Rogers won't guard Mashburn, otherwise they would both foul out.
No, they'll put people on them at the top of the show that are expendable.
All right, let's talk about Kentucky. How good is Kentucky in your view? Rick Pitino in 4 years has them on the brink after a team that was on probation.
Well, I think mainly the coach. The coach has done a tremendous job. He has gone to the three-point shot as a way of religion, and every time down he wants a three-point shot, and he is also a coach of the 90s.
Well, the last time Wake Forest got to a Final Four, they had a fellow named Billy Packer on their team. Wake Forest taking the court. Lineups coming right up. Back here at the Charlotte Coliseum, Dick Stockton and Al McGuire, and the officials working tonight's Kentucky-Wake Forest game. Tim Higgins, Charles Range, and Jerry Petro are the trio. Kentucky will be in white, and Wake Forest will be in the gold uniforms. What's Wake Forest's best chance of winning this game? If they can, it will be a stunning upset, but if they do, what do they have to do, Al?
I think what they got to do is get many ticks on the clock in each possession. Obviously, they can't turn the ball over, and they got to try to make it a half-court game.
And get the ball in that man's hands and keep Rodney Rogers out of foul trouble. First meeting since '64, Kentucky has won both games. Wake Forest beat University of Tennessee in Chattanooga by 23 and Iowa by 6. Kentucky romped over Rider and Utah to get to this semifinal in the Southeast region, and it's controlled by Travis Ford, Kentucky's point guard.
Solid man-to-man by the Demon Deacons, overplaying, cutting off the passing lanes.
There's Dale Brown feeding inside the den. Didn't have control, but it's picked in by Jared Prickett, who was a questionable starter. He has an inflamed toe and did not start the last 2 games of the SEC tournament. And it was Jeff Brasso who started the first 2 of this tournament. But Prickett is in there, a freshman and a good-looking youngster.
Anytime you want to stop the Wildcats' pressure, you got to have a guy flash into the center of their pressure. That'll take it off.
Rogers is handling the ball, and he's guarded by Jared Prickett, who is 6'9", can stay with Rogers 6'7", and the turnaround shot by Trelawney Owens ties the score. And Prickett falls down for the moment, has something to say to the official, and now Rick Pitino is interested.
Well, Prickett has that bad toe, and he might have just trying to favor it, lost his balance. He wasn't really banged that hard.
Ford is guarded by Charlie Harrison.
You want to go to Mashburn early.
Mashburn has set the pace in the first 2 games of this tournament. He has gotten Kentucky out early in both of their wins. There he is with the ball, number 24. Going baseline, and the lay-in missed. Kent stuffs it through on the follow-up.
Ooh, that is a beautiful play to start a game with.
Here's the full court pressure by Kentucky.
Got to flash the middle.
And in trouble is Randolph Childress, and a foul is called against Dale Brown.
That's a tremendous break for the Demon Deacons. If they blow the whistle early and call the fouls on the pressure, it takes a lot of the weapons away from the Wildcats.
Wake Forest will inbound. If you notice one thing about Rodney Rogers and Jamal Mashburn, by the way, is headed for the NBA, likely as a lottery pick, could be #1, is that Rogers, who hasn't said anything about his pro career, they have big bodies now as underclassmen, as juniors.
Big and wide, and they're both mobile. They can hit from three-point land.
Rogers in three-point territory, going around Prickett, double team. Ball deflected off of Trelawney Owens. Kentucky takes over.
Just token pressure up court by Harrison. He's a transfer from Georgetown. Sat out last year.
He's all over Ford. 5'9" junior. He's a Kentucky boy from Madisonville.
He's also a transfer from Missouri.
He wanted Kentucky early on in his career. They didn't recruit him. There's Mashburn with the baseline shot. 6-2 the Wildcats, and very nearly turned over. It's still Wake Forest ball. They are being smothered in the backcourt by Kentucky's defense.
Watch him go up as he gets the height, nice and soft, no pressure, no backcourt, all rim.
In the forecourt, Wake Forest. Their best season in 9 years, but probably playing the best team they faced all year. Harrison off the glass. Charlie Harrison, who only averages 6 a game, and it's 6-4 Kentucky.
Well, if Harrison gets some points, that'll loosen up Childress.
Mashburn is guarded by Owens right now. Talk about a couple of big bodies one-on-one. Rod Hicks blocked that shot out of bounds by Dent. That'll give Wake Forest a big boost.
That's what we call in-your-face basketball. Watch Hicks climb upstairs here. Up, up, leather.
Not even the leading shot blocker on this team.
Good and physical down low.
Just under 3 minutes gone by in the first half. Kentucky in white, Wake Forest in gold. Mashburn will go for a three and hit it. Mashburn, second on the team with 36% from three-point territory.
Inside, outside, the old West Point, Blanchard and Davis in football. He can do both.
Harrison guarded by the point guard, Travis Ford. Hicks, the big man, the 6'9" senior from Raleigh, way outside. Lost his dribble.
Owens looking to post up on Prickett.
And Prickett fouls Trelawney Owens from behind. That'll be the second team foul against the Wildcats. Jared Prickett was last year's West Virginia High School Player of the Year, and Rick Pitino promises he will be a great player. In fact, Pitino has said this, that if he develops his shot, he could be another Larry Bird.
I doubt that.
Well,
I'm not trying to hurt the young guy from West Virginia. He's improved his foul shooting tremendously from high school, but Larry Bird that's once in a lifetime.
That's Rick Pitino's thoughts. Inside Owens, lost control, but it's last touched by Prickett. He's only a freshman, remember. And a substitution coming in, Travis Banks, Scooter Banks, they call him, a sophomore from Clinton, North Carolina, will replace Trelawney Owens for Wake Forest. And Jeff Brasso, who was the starter in the first 2 games for Kentucky, will replace Prickett.
Multiple players. He'll go 9-10 rotation, play them all the first half, and play them often. This is his style. Wants to turn you over, wants to give a run.
Hicks goes down low. He's trying to lead Rogers, and he couldn't. Kentucky will have a big edge in depth in this game. Losing coach of the first game, Ralph Willard of Western Kentucky, on their post-game radio show now.
They're going to have a difficult job, the Hilltoppers, in keeping this fellow the next couple of years. What he showed me tonight was tremendous coaching ability.
In a losing cause, losing in overtime to Florida State. Here's the shooting thus far.
We got a zone by Demon Deacons for the first time, a 1-2-2, or it's a 1-2-2.
Jeff Brasso entered the game. Good three-point, hard-nosed player. Ford hits the three. Travis Ford, 52% from three-point territory and an 8-point Kentucky lead.
If you're going to play a zone against the Wildcats, it has to be a 3-2, not a 2-3.
Banks throws it away into the hands of Travis Ford. 4-on-3 now for Kentucky. Here's Mashburn for 3.
Oh, what a nice spot. This is where the Kentucky blows you out early. They've been blowing their last 5 opponents out by big scores.
Timeout, Wake Forest.
Why can't van doors swing open instead of slide? Why do minivans handle like trucks? Why can't they feel more like a car? This is what the engineers at Mazda wondered when they designed the MPV. Because when you ask better questions, you tend to come up with better answers.
Why does your door do that?
The Mazda MPV.
It just feels right.
Lately, another 800 service has been promising to save you a few drops in the bucket over AT&T. What they're not telling you is that they lose 50% more 800 calls. Calls take longer to get through, and the other company is twice as likely to have a network outage. Now, when you think of all the sales you could lose if you don't have AT&T, their promise doesn't hold much water. One of the 800 reasons to choose AT&T 800 service, the best in the business.
I know if you really care about somebody, nothing else should matter. But it does.
Sometimes getting close to him is all I think about.
I expect her to sweat if she's running a marathon, but not when we're close to each other.
Well, you just can't get close to a guy if he smells.
Get a little closer with Arid Double X, the anti-odor antiperspirant. Arid Double X helps keep you extra, extra dry.
I trust Arid.
For those whose journey is measured by adventures, not miles. Beautiful mornings begin at 8. Super 8 Motels. 1-800-800-8000.
Raven comes.
The middle. Hesitant. There's the steal by Travis Ford. Now here he comes right into your living room at you. Watch him go behind his back right here. Now he knows Mashburn spotted out in three-point land, and there you go, and they're off to a 15-4 lead.
Since the postseason started at the SEC tournament and the NCAA, Kentucky has won by a 31-point margin. So they are blowing people out in postseason. Steal by Mashburn. Trelawney Owens is back. Prickett to Brown, sets for the 3 and hits it. Kentucky is 4 for 4 from three-point range.
Brown looked down, he's an inch over the line, backed up an inch and buried it.
Right now, Wake Forest is bewildered. Rogers will drive in, and he'll be called for the offensive foul. They are bewildered and frustrated all at once.
They got to just settle down. They need a basket. Get the ball into Childress's hands. He's the man, Randolph Childress.
Dave Odom in his 4th year. He knows what he's up against in a tough game against a team that a lot of people have picked to win it all in New Orleans. Feet from Mashburn to Brown, and he is fouled. That'll be the 3rd team foul against Wake Forest, and the first against Randolph Childress.
Kentucky has always been offensive-oriented, all the way back to the guy in the brown suit, then on to Joe B. Hall, and then on to Eddie Sutton, and on and on. Kentucky is offensive basketball.
Mark Lucas, a 6'4" guard from Girard, Pennsylvania, has come in the ballgame. Here is Dale Brown. Dale Brown, the best defensive player by far for Kentucky. They thought he'd be a three-point threat, and he has hit one, but basically his defensive play has been key for this team.
Just patience now. They wait from one another, get the ball into Harrison's hands.
Tony Delk has come in the game. He's going to be taking over for the senior Dale Brown next year as the shooting guard. 0-0. Kentucky, by the way, is on a 14-0 run right now. And a new clock in the last 3 minutes and 5 seconds. Kentucky's been on a big roll.
They don't worry about the foul situation because they got a 10-man rotation. They don't care as long as it isn't Mashburn in the foul situation or Travis Ford.
Wake Forest is in a 7-man rotation. Harrison goes out and Randolph Childress comes back in. And they're going to call the foul on Travis Ford on Blucas. He was looking for the interception. I don't know how Wake Forest, unless they totally control the tempo, can really outlast the withering pressure of Kentucky in this game.
Well, I think every time they get over the 10-second line, then they got to set up a set offense with their spacing. Go to this Blucas for outside shooting or Childress for outside shooting.
I haven't talked much about Childress, but he's a real threat. An all-round superb player. Rodney Rogers gets his first points of the game.
When in need, go to your blue chip player.
20-6 to score. Here is Mashburn, finds Ford. His team will shoot threes, and everyone on the team will shoot threes. Center, forward, guard, you name it. Prickett working against Rogers. Good pick set by Dent. They get it inside to Mashburn. And stepping on the line was Jamal Mashburn. Will turn it over to Wake.
Wake is trying to now protect the perimeter, which is going to open up the inside.
And Dale Brown comes back in, got a short breather, and Delp goes out of the game for Kentucky.
Whoever thought they'd have a Dale Brown playing for Kentucky?
Nearly losing the dribble and losing it on a turnover was Childress. That is the 6th turnover already by the Deacons, and we still have more than 7 minutes remaining, or I should say 13 minutes remaining in the first half.
Put Jamal to go down low. Nope.
He'll shoot over Owens and hit another three. That's his 3rd three-point basket.
See, Owens, you can't let him shoot from out there. Let him take it down low.
Kentucky is a perfect 5 for 5 from deep. 23-6, the Wildcats in front.
5 count Owens, good. Just got rid of the ball in time.
Rogers working against Prickett. Off the shin of Derek Hicks. And they're going to call a foul
on the big guy.
Rodney Rogers, who is a modest, soft-spoken player, picks up his 2nd personal foul, and that's the last thing Wake Forest needed. They're the turnovers and the points off of the turnovers in the game, and it's 16-0 Kentucky with a shutout there.
Man to man, so hard to play Kentucky. Alley-oop.
Andre Riddick into the ball game. Brown with an air ball. Prickett saves it. Mashburn hits another.
I can't believe this. That's 6 for 6 then?
6 for 6 for the team, and 4 of them by Jamal Mashburn, and a 20-point lead for Kentucky.
Holy cow, they're really, they're on fire. They're smoking.
Everything in practice yesterday was the team pulling up for three-point hoops. In fact, Jamel Martinez, who's a 6'8 center, this year did not take a 3 when they wanted him to, and Rick Pitino said to Martinez, if you don't want to shoot the 3s, then transfer, and that's to a backup center.
Well, I mathematically believe that every shot, if possible, should be taken from a three-point land unless it's a chippy layup. Because mathematically, that's how you win, and you shouldn't give three-point shots.
Travis Banks back in for Wake Forest. They need somebody to stem the tide here.
Has to be this guy right here, 22. He has the ability.
He's their best playmaker, free throw shooter, three-point shooter. He's got to hit those if Wake Forest can make any run in this game, and second leading scorer, but Childress missed there. 26-6. Mashburn. Owens is guarding him. Not an easy assignment. Double team. Open man is Ford. Kentucky has yet to miss a three-point attempt. 7 for 7. That's 21 points from threes alone. 21 of their 29 have come from three-point territory. Childress inside to Owens. And Wake Forest stems the tide. Kentucky had a big run going there.
That's what they got to do, be more physical. Wake Forest underneath. 3 that time went in, just determined to dunk it.
Another one. Jamal Mashburn.
I give up.
5 for 5 for Mashburn, 8 for 8 for Kentucky.
And another turnover.
Territory. A 26-4 run for the Wildcats. Mashburn with a layup. This is a withering display of basketball talent at both ends.
This is the career high. It's the career game for Mashburn.
Listen to him.
Beat North Carolina big. We're down now by something like 26 points. Let's just try to cut it down, maybe 8 or 10 points by halftime, and maybe come the second half to get our rhythm, and we'll start on our afterburner. But hey, you're good plays. You got to be very positive now as a coach. We're good. There's no way that Kentucky can keep at this pace. It's impossible. How many threes in a row have they hit there?
They have hit 8 3-point baskets. And Mashburn, who's getting his first breather of the game with 19 points, has 5 of them, replaced by Jamel Martinez, who has the ball now, number 44. And throwing the ball away was Martinez on the turnover. Kentucky has scored 34 points in less than 10 minutes.
Well, I think they took out Mashburn because his arm was tired. He was getting varicose veins in his arm.
Guess what? He's coming back in now, and Andre Riddick will go out. Varicose veins in his arm.
Yeah, he was really pumping.
In the first 2 games of the tournament, Kentucky ran up ahead of Rider 29-9. They led Utah 27-8. They've done the same thing to Wake Forest here. We have 9:40 remaining in the first half.
And Rick Pitino will not let his team settle. They're going to play the same style all the way through.
Charlie Harrison, the point guard. That's Hicks, the center, up on top with Martinez defending. Almost a turnover, and Owens gets the basket and a foul. Grasso foul. Big break.
Yep, and momentum might change a little bit right here. You know, everything evens out a little bit in life. Even a whale comes up for blow now and then.
But not for long. You know what's an amazing thing as Prickett comes back in for Kentucky is Wake Forest is shooting 6 for 7 from the field. Now, if you say, how would you like to be shooting 6 for 7 and be down by 28 at one point?
Well, the turnovers are the problem, and the 3 points. You know, every time that you put one up there and there's 3, I'd be very mad at any play that allowed the guy he was guarding to have a 3-point basket untested.
Hicks stepped on the line, couldn't save it, so it'll go over to Kentucky, leading 34-12.
Well, they come back 6 points in the last minute and a half. We still got 9 minutes and 23 seconds left in this half.
Wake Forest is still looking for its first rebound of the game. Of course, Kentucky hasn't given it much of a chance. There's the Martinez, who Pitino said you better take the threes or leave. This one there.
Threes is the way to play, but when you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Owens gets the roll. So Trelawney Owens now has 8 points. And it's Owens and not Rodney Rogers who leads Wake Forest scoring.
I think Rodney Rogers got to play down lower in the paint. Mismatch underneath. There it is. It should be 2. Oh, interference.
Goaltending. Yep. Basket will count by Mashburn. And that'll give him 21.
There was absolutely a mismatch underneath with Mashburn. Here it is underneath, watch. And there's the goaltending.
Mashburn missed his first shot of the game, has hit his last 8. Brown guarding Childress. Childress has not scored, came in averaging 20 points on the year, so Brown, the best defensive player, has totally stopped him.
One of the big things you got to remember about Wake Forest and the ACC, nobody in the ACC plays this style. And that's one of the big things about Rick Pitino. This style is originally his. This is a style that's going to take all the way through the 90s.
As Florida State learned against Western Kentucky, although Florida State survived that one in overtime. Mashburn overplaying, got a piece of it. Owens feeding inside, and Derek Hicks gets his first basket of the game. He's not normally a scorer, but he has been a big surprise over the year for the Deacons. Here is Ford. He's got another 3. So Ford with his 3rd 3-point basket. I think Kentucky has just missed one. That's right. And that was by Martinez from three-point territory.
And that was only about 30 seconds ago.
Hicks over to Harrison. Working against Ford. Air ball. Here comes Mashburn ahead to Brown. Owens back defensively. Brown goaltending on Hicks. And Dale Brown now with the bucket. He's got 7.
Coach didn't like that call. That was a close call. That one could have hit in the way up. Let's watch it. Let's watch it.
Goaltending.
That was close. You're right there, Bubba.
Lucas comes in for Childress for Wake Forest. Grasso back in for Kentucky. Dale Brown sits down.
And they pressure again and again and again and never letting up. It's like years ago, Rocky Marciano and Joe Lewis, they stalk you around the ring. You know all of a sudden
Relentless.
they're going to hit you.
Relentless out.
Yep.
Harrison gets it inside. Grasso on the steal. Ahead to Mashburn. And he is fouled from behind by Harrison. It looked like Harrison just wanted a foul before Mashburn went to the hoop.
Well, they're not in the one-on-one yet.
14th foul against Wake Forest. Kentucky will inbound. 28-3 on the year. Their only losses were to Vanderbilt, Arkansas, and Tennessee. Jamel Martinez, who missed the only three-point basket for Kentucky, makes up for it with a bomb out here. They're 10 of 11 from outside.
I believe.
44-16. Look at the three-point baskets in this game. Batted away by Mashburn, and it's still Wake Forest ball. They're going to bring Childress back in, Wake Forest. They only have 7 men that they've been alternating. And Harrison sits down again.
They got to get Rodney Rogers in the game. They got to get him more in the game. Even if they post him up low and pound it into him.
A hand for the point guard, Travis Ford. Had a big year this year after breaking a kneecap prior to last season, which affected his play. Childress missed the 3. Little body contact. Trelawney Owens missed it. Here's Kentucky again. 6:35 remaining in the first half. Dick Stockton and Al McGuire here at the Charlotte Coliseum. Jim Gray is with us as well. 44-16 is our score.
Nice movement off the ball.
Martinez with a fake on Hicks.
Hicks got to come out a little bit sooner. It's going up. Hicks, you got to
Martinez
come
for
out.
another 3. And they're going to call the foul on Dale Brown, I believe. That'll be his second personal. Along with Al McGuire, Dick Stockton here at the Charlotte Coliseum. A thriller in the first game. Florida State beat Western Kentucky 81-78 in overtime. But this game has been all blue and white. Kentucky off to a brilliant start. Had a lead of 26 points. They've stretched it down to 28. And the story has been incredible three-point shooting. Jamal Mashburn, 5 for 5 from three-point territory and 21 points in the game.
In addition to the three-point shooting, Dick, the big thing also is turnovers. They just been turning them over every other time that they touch the ball.
That was the 10th turnover by Wake. Rodney Rogers, 4 points in the game. Has hit his only 2 shots. And it's been all Mashburn in that particular duel. This will be a foul against Derek Hicks, number 21. That is the 15th foul against the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. Rick Pitino, who got to the Final Four coaching Providence.
Did a great job, New York Knicks.
Yes, he did.
Started his career at Boston University, I think.
That's right. Played at the University of Massachusetts. And another foul against Wake Forest. It's Trelawney Owens with his first. And each team now has 6 fouls. Tomorrow, the East Regional We'll have its semifinals at East Rutherford, New Jersey. It'll be Virginia against Cincinnati and North Carolina, the #1 seed there, against Arkansas. Any thoughts?
Arkansas is quick. They're athletes. They're going to give North Carolina all they can eat.
Prickett misses the first free throw. Out west, Michigan got a big scare from UCLA. Had to win in overtime against George Washington. That is the official Cinderella now. This 12th seed, Vanderbilt and Temple. That'll be a good game.
If Temple gets out in front of you, you're in trouble. John Chaney, if he has a lead, and one of the better coaches in the country, without a lead, they're in trouble.
Prickett missed both free throws, and Childress fouled going to the hoop. That'll be on Dent. Rodney Dent with his first foul, and the 17th foul against the Wildcats. So it'll be 1-on-1, 1-and-1 now for Wake, although they'll shoot 2 here. Jamal Mashburn is back in the game. That ought to be great news for Wake Forest, the way he's played. And Roderick Rhodes makes his first appearance. Mashburn is 21.
You know, he's 6'8". He looks 6'10". He plays like he's 6'1".
Roderick Rhodes, the 6'6" freshman from Jersey City, a superstar in high school, has not played well since the holiday festival at New York's Madison Square Garden, where he was the MVP. He's finding out what it's like to be a freshman in big-time college basketball.
Well, you know, he wasn't put in the last game and last week, and I think there was just some little disciplinary problem, and I'm glad to see him back in there playing because he's an outstanding player. He's out of St. Anthony's High School in New Jersey.
Mashburn is fouled after Rhodes went to the hoop, and Jamal will go to the line. And the personal foul will be on Trelawney Owens, his second.
Jamal off the court is very quiet and personable. On the court, he's a leader and aggressive, and can shoot from three-point land. In addition to everything else.
I mean, that's what you need to do in professional basketball, no matter what your size is. And Mashburn at 6'8". Second leading three-point scorer for Kentucky this year, and the first signee by Rick Pitino when he went to Lexington.
It's the first time I can ever remember this early in the season a ball player saying he's going hardship.
Well, he's got, he wants to buy a house and a car for his mother, Helen, who really raised him. Crashing the boards is Travis Banks. Scooter Banks misses the rebound by Mashburn.
I dare to say, Dick, that she's going to get the house, and she's going to get the car, and she's going to get a condominium in Florida, and she's going to have a place in the Riviera over in Europe. Fine young man.
Ford, Brasso, Rhodes, Dent, and Mashburn are in there for Kentucky. Mashburn gets the rebound. He's a men amongst boys in there, it seems.
And he has the hops underneath. He's got life in his body, electricity, the movements there. He's clicking to the ball. Almost anyone else. Watch. He'll miss this shot, but he's right back in there again just before that.
Hicks with his second foul. Deacons with 18 fouls. Kentucky with 7. And here is Jamal Mashburn again. The Monster Mash, they call him. And they were talking about the big monster matchup tonight with Rodney Rogers. But that hasn't materialized.
Oh, you can't judge that off tonight's game because Mashburn obviously got a much better supporting cast, and the style favors Mashburn, where Rodney Rogers is more a muscle man down low, and Pitino's defense has just cut him off.
Mashburn already has exceeded the season's average, 46-18. Brasso is guarding Childress. Childress has scored just 2 points. Remember, he went in averaging 20 on the season. Lost his dribble. Loose ball. And let's see, foul will be called against Mashburn. It'll be his first foul. Here is Andre Riddick. Will come in for Rodney Dent. And Trelawney Owens will spell Rodney Rogers. So Rogers goes out of the ball game having scored 4 points. He's only attempted 2 shots. He's hit them. But that's well short of what Wake Forest needs in this Avalanche. Hicks shooting 1-and-1.
You know what happens, Dick, in these so many routes that they've had the last 5, 6, 7 games? The coach in his mind, Rick Pitino, he's afraid when he gets to a close game that maybe the team could tighten up a little bit. So they're not used to it anymore. They're just blowing these teams out. They lost 3 games during the season, all inside the conference. I think it was Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and was it Arkansas?
That's right. And, you know, it's interesting. It's like a fighter who doesn't get a test, who doesn't go past 2 rounds. All of a sudden, he finds himself in the 8th and 9th round. He wasn't ready for it.
A la Douglas against Iron Mike in Tokyo.
So I think Rick would like to see a test. He'd like to see them pass it, but he'd like to see a test somewhere. Roderick Rhodes with a great move inside. That's his first points. A 28-point lead with 3:40 remaining in the first half. Sizzling display of offensive and defensive basketball. Power ball. Pressure. Brasso fouls Childress, and he'll shoot 2. Second foul on the junior from Houston, Texas, Jeff Brasso, the lone remaining signee by the previous coach, Eddie Sutton.
Eddie Sutton's done a magnificent job out there at Oklahoma State. Eddie's been successful every place he's been. He took the whole 4 teams, the NCAA, Creighton, Arkansas, Kentucky, and the Cowboys.
There you see Rogers coming back in for Wake Forest as Hicks gets a rest. Junior Brady, one of the co-captains, a senior from Jacksonville, makes his first appearance for Kentucky.
If you watch when Kentucky brings the ball up court right away, they don't dribble, they pass. If you pass up the court, you get up 4 times faster than dribbling.
So far, Kentucky, Al, has used 11 players, and Wake Forest has used 7.
Well, just keep it going the way it's going. They're going to put the mascot in.
All right, 48-23. Timeout.
Lasers. Satellites. Cellular data networks. What exactly are we preparing for? UPS introduces Total Track, the only tracking system that can confirm delivery of your air and designated ground packages coast to coast in seconds.
Package was signed for at 9:26 this morning by Mr.
The arms race may be over, but the package race is just heating up.
To go in the first half. Jamal Mashburn, then the big man. Jamal Mashburn has scored as many points as the entire Wake Forest team. He's got 23, and that's what the Deacons have. It's been all Kentucky, Al McGuire, and the 3-point shooting has been the story at 10 of 12 from the field.
It's the best 3-point shooting that I've ever witnessed.
And that's been the trademark for Rick Pitino everywhere he's been. Here's Mash, inside again. Kentucky still has it, leading by 25 points. Travis Ford, the point guard, goes all the way in with the basket. Travis Ford with 11 points, second leading scorer. The Mashburns 23.
Since Travis knocked off 15, 17 pounds, he's much quicker.
There's that trap. Rodney Rogers finds Blucas. Oh. No basket. Foul before the shot. And it was on Roderick Rhodes. Thank you. Freshman. And there is Pitino saying, Rod,
we're back together again. You're back in the team. He made an effort. He can go upstairs. He's an outstanding athlete. Outstanding.
Well, he was superstar in high school, MVP of the Holiday Festival, and then he went downhill. Needs to get his confidence back, and this kind of game may help him. Lucas on the line, shooting 2. Kentucky has brilliantly played this game from the start. They have opened up huge leads in all 3 of their NCAA tournament games. Looking around at the rest of the draw, 4 ACC teams are left, although Wake Forest is hanging on the brink. All the #1 seeds are here. That looks safe with Kentucky. Are moving along.
Well, with Rick Pitino at the engine, he's not going to let them get big heads, and he just keeps the pressure on from the giddy up to the wire.
Kentucky's biggest lead was 28. Winding down to 2.5 to play, and Roderick Rose hits a 3 from the corner. This could be a big coming out party for Rose, who's been in the doghouse.
Nice to see him smile again. You know, ball players want to play. It's so important. That's all they did all their lives. And it's just you know, they get out there in the court and get up and down. And a lot of these high school players, they used to being stars, and you can't blame them for sometimes getting self-centered.
Offensive.
There's a charge.
Offensive foul on Rogers. That's his third. So this much heralded battle between Mashburn and Rogers. Rogers with 4 points and 3 fouls, and Mashburn with 23. As you pointed out, though, different accompanying members for the two stars.
Plus the big rotation. I think they've used already 11 or 12 men. Kentucky.
Martinez has come in. So is Brady. So it's Rhodes, Brady, Martinez, Ford, and Mashburn. 11 players used by Rick Pitino.
Nice entry pass that time.
Traveling called against Brady.
Don't make any difference. The Wildcats come right back at you. See, there's no making faces. They come right back at you with their pressure.
Pressure on Travis Banks. And the pushing foul. You know, Kentucky, last year, they had a team that really loved hoops. Every chance they could, they go watch television, watch highlights. This team isn't that way. They rather watch MTV. When they're away from the court, they're really not basketball people. And it's a different kind of a group. And I think Rick Pitino has said, I'd like to see a little more fire in this team. How much more fire could they have?
Sakes, we got the Chicago Fire this evening.
Banks on the line shooting. Kentucky foul was on Martinez. John Pelfrey and Richie Farmer, two members of last year's Kentucky team, and of course you don't have to remind anyone in Lexington how that season came to an end. Christian Laettner's shot in overtime, maybe the greatest tournament game that I think I can recall ever.
A lot of people say it was the best game ever.
Kentucky missed that chance to get in the Final Four. Roderick Rose in the lane. Triple team, lost it to Travis Banks. 1:40 to go in the first half. Hicks tries to get it in there. And it'll be another foul against the Wildcats. And that'll be on Mashburn, his second personal foul. This has got to be a very tough game for Wake Forest to play. I mean, here's a team that had its best year in 9 years. They beat some good clubs. But here they are going up against a buzzsaw.
They're only an hour and a half drive from here up in Winston-Salem, 75 miles away. They got 1,000 tickets and had 5,000 requests for the 1,000 tickets.
Most of the fans here are Kentucky fans. Here in ACC territory is Mashburn on the bench now. He has scored 23. Trelawney Owens missed both free throws, and Andre Riddick cleared. 53-26, Kentucky. Ford pulls up. He's got it.
See, a lot of people don't realize about Ford. He really sat out 2 years. He had to sit out because he transferred. Then last year he broke his kneecap. So this is the true Ford right now you're watching.
5 for 5 from the field is Travis Ford. He'll be back next year. The little general, they call him, and he's got a lot of good people to dish it off to. Owens travels with 46.9 seconds showing on the clock. Hey, if you're Dave Odom, what can you say?
Well, you've got to really get behind your ball players now. They need a hug at halftime. They don't need a whip. Normally, I say go to the whip, but you got to hug them because they're embarrassed. Everybody's embarrassed, and they're much better ball players than this. But Kentucky's on its afterburn.
Prickett to Brady for 3. Prickett with a follow. I don't think Odom uses the whip much anyway from the looks of Dave.
Oh, he looks like a professor, but he's an excellent coach. He was at Virginia for a number of years as an assistant
to Terry Holland. We have 28.1 seconds remaining. Odom has done a tremendous job. 10 victories in the ACC. That's the first time in 30 years Wake won that many in the conference.
How many did beat North Carolina by this year, Dick?
Big margin. You happy with that one? Harrison misses the layup. Hope you save the other questions for the second half. 26.
Oh, you did know.
Nah, you knew it. Four three-point baskets for Travis Ford and 5 for Mashburn. Color this place blue. And that is the end of the first half with the score. Kentucky 60, Wake Forest 26. CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship.
3:40 and just begun the second half. In fact, let's go there right now. The godfather of basketball is calling this game. James Brown along with Bill Raftery. JB, you are on.
Just underway here in the second half. Kansas on top of Cal by 3, and Scott making that move down low. Actually caught Grigsby with an elbow across the face, but the foul is called on Grigsby, and that's 4. And Bill Grigsby certainly didn't help matters at all in the first half, saddled with 3 personal fouls and no points. He averages 10 on the season.
And he gets caught behind, which we've seen frequently of the Cal team, getting there late, giving up that box position. It's so valuable, and you become vulnerable if you permit the ball to come in there.
Heading out is Grigsby, and in is Monty Buckley for California. We talked about this Cal team being young. 6 sophomores, 3 freshmen dominate the roster.
And Buckley, quick defensive reaction, and he goes on the inbounds. I think Cal, when they get on offense, has to relax a little bit. They don't have the fast break control.
Nice look by Walters, and an injury on the floor, and Hancock is still down on the floor. Roberts on the score after the pass, but Hancock in pain after that shot attempt.
He's had his share of difficulties physically. The 2 detached retinas, what was the Colorado game?
All in the same game.
Separate instances. And here's his penetration. Undoubtedly thrown off balance and either buckling on its own or on a foot. And having played, as most people watching have at some point, that's just a very scary feeling. Not sure, as you come down on the left, whether you're stable enough to get up and maneuver.
And gingerly leaving the court. And just to elaborate, as Bill mentioned, although the injury here is to the leg, Hancock had both retinas torn in the same game against Colorado. 2 separate incidents. And Hancock wears the goggles as a result, although he didn't have the goggles on the first game back.
And he had double figures, and he hasn't had them since.
Not
so
since.
The glasses haven't been an asset.
43-42, Kansas on top. 19 minutes left in the ball game. The winner advances to meet Indiana, a top seed here in the Midwest in the regional final on Saturday, and a 5-second call. Good defense by California.
And Roberts in particular, as well as Kidd, denying the return pass. And there's that comparison. Walters able to stroke, having a terrific first half. Kidd, I think, has got to think of some offense.
Just to expand on those numbers, Kansas backcourt outscored the backcourt of Cal 23-7 in the first half.
And as Leslie said, look at Jordan denying the ball to Kidd. And a turnover because of the aggressive defense. Scott particularly.
And as I mentioned, what's at stake here? A trip to the Midwest Regional Final on Saturday right here at the St. Louis Arena to meet top-seeded Indiana. On the turnover, it's Kansas ball. tell you what, Bill, Rex Walters and Adonis Jordan really have risen to the challenge by virtue of their first half performance. Looking forward to this battle with Jason Kidd and company. Nice jump hook by Pauly.
Now, JB, there's good defense on Adonis Jordan, but the post guy's wide open. You've got to complement the aggressive defense outside.
And the aggressive backcourt defense doing a job in limiting the effectiveness of Jason Kidd. Good defense by Murray. Here comes Kidd.
Look at this speed and strength.
And the follow by Murray.
Kidd should have been on the foul line, but great effort to make sure.
Still a one-point ball.
Sloppy moments there. Digger, you're ready to say something.
Yeah, Jason Kidd's move right there. The follow-up by the layup, but Jason's really forcing his issue tonight. I think he's got to get into offense, but his offense will come to the last 2 minutes of the game.
Mike, what do we look for now in the rest of this game?
I think Kansas can go inside, hurt Cal in there, but Cal, I like their defensive intensity, and Kidd, as Digger said, has to be more patient, especially in the half court.
Kansas, on the other hand, very patient, good defense, and they move the ball very well.
Winner of this game goes on to meet Indiana in the next game, and it's now a one-point game with Kansas up by 1, 45-44. A game we'll keep you up to date on as the evening progresses. Meantime, Kentucky at halftime still leads 60-26. Enjoy the second half here on CBS. After this, stay with us.
CBS Sports presents Prudential Securities at the Hash. Sponsored by Prudential Securities. The most important thing we earn is your trust.
Biggest lead of the game for Kentucky is right now at halftime, 60-26 over Wake Forest. Sensational play. If you're wondering, the most three-point baskets in a game held by Loyola Marymount 3 years ago against Michigan, 21, and the best percentage was Kansas State against Georgia 3 years before that. How is Kentucky doing? 12 of 15 for 80%. Al, this is where they took them from.
Well, this is Rick Pitino's dream, but happens to be Coach Odom's nightmare.
And Rick Pitino talked to Jim Gray during the intermission, and what did he tell Jim about what he told his team?
Well, Jim related to me. He said he told his team it's the best first half he's ever coached or watched in college, and that keep it up.
And the score is 0-0. Make believe the score is 0-0. Well, I don't know what Dave Odom told his team, but keep your chin up or something of that order.
Yeah, we're in it together.
Or maybe 0-0 also. Let's win the second half. Anyway, Trelawney Owens will inbound. Wake Forest with Owens, Charlie Harrison, Randolph Childress, Rodney Rogers, and Derek Hicks, the same five who started the game, and the gold-shirted Demon Deacons.
I think he probably said get the ball in the Rogers. He just tried that time, but Rogers went to pick for the weak side post.
Prickett picked up the loose ball, so Travis Ford, who had 16 points, 4 three-point baskets in the first half.
Shot 6 for 6 for the field.
It's almost perfect, isn't it?
4 for 4 from the foul line.
Prickett falls down and was tripped up in a Wake Forest foul. 2.5 minutes into the game, Kentucky led 6-4, and then the Wildcats went on a 28-4 run in the next 7 minutes.
And since then, Wake Forest can't stop the bleeding.
Rodney Rogers has picked up his 4th personal foul. And Prickett throws the ball away. And they say that Harrison got a hand on it, so it's still Kentucky's ball. 4 fouls on Rodney Rogers, who had only 4 points in the first half.
Rick Pitino doesn't sit down. Good coaches coach the whole game no matter what the score is, up or down.
Dent, the low post man, Rodney Dent. There's Mashburn, who had 23 points. Rogers fighting with Prickett for the rebound. Comes up with it.
All right, this time down, let's get Rogers down low. Take our time, kick the ball into him, see if we can get him out of the blocks.
It's Owens and Harrison in two-man game. Hicks takes a outside shot off the front rim. Rush that shot, and here comes Kentucky again. Prickett going strong to the hoop, and will get it. Jared Prickett, a freshman from Fairmont, West Virginia, playing despite his inflamed toe. He's got 6 points.
He's quite mobile for being 6'9".
Good passer. Bigger's big in Kentucky's future. And he's guarding Rogers. Rogers is fouled. Prickett got a hand on Rogers' elbow, and Rodney will go to the line.
That was a feather touch.
Second foul against Prickett and the first team foul against Kentucky. Crowd has kind of settled in, and now it's like you're watching the opera after a wild first half where Kentucky put on a display, as Al mentioned, that Rick Pitino said he'd never seen before.
Well, Demon Deacons, they got to get their heads up. They got to get confidence, play hard, and be able to look in the mirror tonight. Obviously, they're very discouraged and being blown out this way.
Playing a terrific team.
He's getting 3 shots because he's shooting from three-point land. See that body? He doesn't lift weights.
He had 33 points and 10 rebounds against Iowa, so if you're seeing Rogers not having one of his better games, he came off a terrific one against Iowa in the second round. 62-28 Kentucky. Nearly 2 minutes have elapsed in the second half.
Always constant moving offensively, especially on the weak side of the court.
Travis Ford misses his first shot of the game. Comes in again with the shot. He bounced off a Wake Forest player, one-handed off the glass the other way. 18 for Ford. He's 5 points over his season's average.
Someone has to flash in the middle. Now kick it out and go.
Biggest lead of the game for Kentucky is 36 points now.
Watch the runner here. Almost a little bit showboating there, but no. He played it off the glass, he kissed it, and in it went.
Prickett is now on Owens. Rogers playing with 4 personal fouls. Good feed inside Owens, and the basket is good. Good feed from Harrison to Trelawney Owens. Owens has 10 points in the game, and Prickett picks up his 3rd personal foul. And Owens will go to the line. He was the 6th man a year ago. Like Rodney Rogers, a very quiet and mild-mannered guy. In fact, Dave Odom said, I have no criticism of Rodney Rogers, but he says, I wish he were a little tougher maybe to seize the moment. Nice to be a soft-spoken guy, but sometimes you have to have a killer instinct.
Well, I think one of Rogers' problems is that he can shoot from outside. He doesn't take enough advantage of his strength underneath.
Talk about some strength there as Dale Brown going baseline on the feed from Jamal Mashburn. Basket is good, and a foul will send him to the line. That was on Hicks. 3rd personal foul on Derek Hicks.
Well, Kentucky didn't have a game in the postseason conference tournament, and this is the 3rd game in the NCAA, and they haven't had a game.
They have blown everybody away. They beat Rider by 44, Utah by 21. They also won the last 2 games of the SEC tournament by, that's right, 61 points in 17. So, yeah, I think Rick would like a little bit of a test somewhere along the line. Maybe not.
Well, the first dream of every coach is get to the Final Four. They look like a Final Four team, but Florida State can give you fits. They got great athletes, Florida State.
Watch the vision of Ford here.
As soon as he tried to trap, he clears it out to the middle. Then they space, kick out, and should be automatic.
3-point basket. That was Childress with his first of the game and the first 3-point hoop by Wake Forest. 67-34. The Deacons trail the Wildcats. Mashburn, pick and roll into Rodney Dent. Few of the plays I'm sure that Rick Pitino used when he coached the Knicks.
He had some trouble with the Knicks with the general manager there. He had 2 great years.
Al Bianchi, yep.
They just didn't get along, and that's why Rick moved on.
He produced, though. His record was terrific in New York. Going to the hoop, slicing in is Childress, and he'll go to the line.
still the greatest play in basketball against a man-to-man defense. Pick and roll or give and go, whatever you want to call it.
Dale Brown has committed his 4th personal foul. That's Jamal Mashburn. And he'll stay in the game. Delk replaces Brown, who goes out. Brown has scored 10 points. He has 4 fouls. And Tony Delk is in there now.
You know, I've been working games for 15 years, Dick. I think this is the biggest blowout from the beginning of a game where it's not even been close. And I'm not trying to knock the Demon Deacons. They're doing the best they can. But Kentucky's, the whole team is playing a career game.
Yeah, looks that way. Stacy Castle, a freshman guard from Far Rockaway, New York, Al. You remember that area.
Rockaway Beach, easy to reach.
Delk, we're going to need a lot more of those before this game is over, my friend.
Okay, take a rock and throw it away. That's Far Rockaway.
Mashburn out there with picked up by Owens. Mashburn has 23 points, is yet to score in this second half. Got hit in the face. Here's Wake Forest. And a great steal by Delk. They try to get it into Rogers. And Ford is fouled by Castle, who just came into the game. Let's talk a little bit about Player of the Year. And we will when we come back.
If you depend on your truck to last, here's news you should never forget. Of all the Chevy trucks built in the last 10 years, over 98% are still going strong. That's more than Ford, more than Toyota, more than Nissan. Over the years, no other truck is that dependable, foreign or domestic. Only Chevrolet, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Back in New York watching this game, 69-36. Let's take a look at the California-Kansas game. And Mike Francesa, Kansas making a little statement here.
Kansas on an 11-0 run right now. Cal also in foul trouble. Already 9 with 11 minutes left. They have 9. They're into penalties. So the next one, Kansas will shoot 2 the rest of the way.
59-52 is the score. A 7-point game, Digger.
Credit Kansas defense. They're really putting ball pressure on the dribbler, but they're really denying the passing lane closest to the ball, and that's what's really caused that run.
How about Jason Kidd, Mike?
Pat, he's been doing what he has to do, moving the ball around, but in the past, we've seen Cal be able to withstand these kind of hits. Let's see if they can take this one.
Meantime, 15:01 left in the ball game up there in Charlotte. Kentucky in charge. 71-36. Let's go back to Dick and Al.
Really in charge, Pat, and Travis Ford just collected his 20th point of the game. 71-36. Jamal Mashburn hasn't yet scored in the second half. And the jumper missing by Hicks from outside, and the rebound by Delk. Delk, Pritchett, or I should say Prickett, and Ford. Jamal Mashburn and Rodney Dent for Kentucky. Here's a 3-point shot, and he got rid of that in a hurry.
Has a quick release. He is he's a player's player as far as I'm concerned.
5 3-point baskets for Travis Ford, 5 for 6 from the field. So Mashburn has hit 5, and so is Ford. Rogers in the baseline, and Mashburn going after the loose ball. It's Kentucky's ball. Harrison will come back in for Wake Forest. We were starting to talk about Player of the Year. And last week we were in Indianapolis, and Calbert Chaney seems to be getting most of those honors. Why isn't Jamal Mashburn?
I think maybe because of the style here, and I think the other thing why Calbert Chaney's moved way up on the charts is because with Henderson down, and still to be winning without Henderson means that they're double-teaming Calvin Chaney now, but he's still getting it done.
He got it done in the first game tonight against Louisville. Indiana moved to the Midwest Regional Finals. Tipped by Travis Banks into the hands now of Owens, and Prickett saves it by knocking it away. Kentucky started the season 11-0, and they had wins against Louisville. They beat St. John's in the New York Holiday Festival, and Indiana with a win as Prickett checks out of the ball game. Brasso comes in, and a 3-point basket by Randolph Childress. He has the only 2 threes for Wake.
Don't count out Florida State on Saturday. They got great athletes, and to win today, they only hit 18 out of 38 foul shots and won in overtime. But they can get it done, and they can spread you out.
That was Dent from Brasso. A couple interesting factors about Florida State and what kind of hopes they may have about Kentucky, which we'll talk about. We have 13:06 remaining in the second half. This was a team that won and did not play that well. They were 18 for 38 from the line. Sura, Cassell, they really didn't have that great a game, so they figured to play better. And what's it like when you win and not play well?
You don't feel good, but you feel good. You worry about the next game, saying, we played that bad, they'll blow us out like they're blowing Wake Forest out now. I think Pat Kennedy has his work cut out tomorrow to put a confident feeling back into his team. They got to be confident, especially going against the Wildcats. And on the flip side of that, I think that Rick Pitino has to worry about, will his team stand up under pressure? Because he's going to have 1 or 2 pressure games if he ends up going 3 more games.
Owens scored that last basket. Delk misses a 3. Mashburn outfights Owens for the rebound. Terrific passing by Kentucky.
Ford hits 1 more from out there, I'm leaving.
Please. How come you don't leave when the game goes in overtime? You only want to leave when it's 76-41, Al. That's not very nice to your partner.
I tell you what, Rupp is looking down at this, and he's saying, good job, Rick.
Is there a chance that Kentucky is almost too perfect in this game?
Today, this is a perfect game. They're a good, solid ball club. Believe should be rated in the top 4 in the country, which they are. They deserve the #1 seeding. But there are other clubs that are close. They're tight. This could be a year. I don't know if it's ever happened that the 4 #1 seed could end up down in Crescent City, New Orleans.
Harrison with the shot. He's got 4 points in the game. Well, the last time Rick Pitino got to the Final Four, it was in New Orleans with Providence. Maybe heading there with Kentucky as Travis Ford, who has hit 10 of 11 baskets tonight, to the cheers of the UK fans in the stands. 25 points for Ford. He has doubled his season's average, and we still have 11:45 remaining. Banks goes out of the game, and Hicks checks in. And Travis Ford, he always wanted to come to Kentucky, but he was not recruited. Eddie Sutton was the coach, and he had his son Sean as the point guard. So Travis Ford unhappily had to go to Missouri, but he transferred, and he is back home in Kentucky, and it all worked out well.
He was the star at Missouri.
More and more Americans are discovering that if they...
Welcome back to Charlotte. I'm Jim Gray. Kentucky leads 79-43. I'm joined by Florida State head coach Pat Kennedy. He beat Western Kentucky earlier. You will now face Kentucky on Saturday. What are you going to have to do to beat this team?
Well, first of all, it's a shame my team had to watch that first half themselves. I've never seen a team play a better first half, maybe including all the NBA teams this year. They just shot the three-point with such ease, their guards. And, of course, I think Jamal Mashburn is the best all-around player because he does so much inside and he does so much outside. So not only a good Kentucky team, but they're playing extremely well right now.
Can Florida State, can your team beat Kentucky, and what will you practice on tomorrow?
Well, we've got to spread the floor a little bit and utilize our quickness. Try to beat their pressure a little bit, not let it bother us. Utilize our quickness, and we've got to bang in some threes. And then we've got to work awfully hard on the defensive end. So biggest thing we need to do is make some foul shots tomorrow and get some rest.
When you try and get that rest tomorrow, will you have them review these tapes, or have they seen enough? And would that maybe psych them out to have to watch that first half again?
No, not really. Of course, when you're in the ACC and you play the likes of Carolina and Duke and Georgia Tech, we'll do a regular tape breakdown and try to get ready for Kentucky. They're a team that's very explosive and can score in a lot of ways. But our club can do the same. I think it's going to be a heck of a ball game.
Pat, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Dick?
All right, Jim, thank you very much. Rodney Rogers with 1 free throw has 7 points. He seemed like a guy who welcomes the challenge as Brasso hits the 3 for Kentucky.
I personally also think it's going to be quite a ball game because I think he has the guards that can go outside and cover the Wildcats from three-point land.
Kentucky is now 14 of 19 from three-point territory. Rogers knifes in against Andre Riddick and scores again. He has 9 points, 5 of them coming here in the second half.
That's only the second time they made an entrance pass into Rogers in the post.
They haven't had the ball in forecourt that much, have they? Palming violation called against Kentucky. Lucas will come back in for Wake. Here he is. Ford and Mashburn not only lead Kentucky in scoring tonight, but also in assists. Mashburn has 5 and Ford has 4. So they've been playmakers and scorers alike.
Let's go back to Rogers again. The Monty's on him. Boy, they're pushing and shoving right there.
He hasn't got, Mashburn hasn't been on Rogers much tonight. Now the pressure's off, he could do it. Harrison misses outside. And Rogers, he's getting heated up now, and it's 11 points for Rogers, although it's an 82-48 game. Missing the three-point attempt is Brasso. Lucas for Wake Forest now.
That's Rick Pitino right there. That play you just seen. There was a break. The guy pulled up in three-point land and let it fly.
If you believe in the three, you got to take it. You can't say, well, you got to be hesitant sometimes. If you believe in it, you got to take it no matter what the score is and no matter what the situation is.
When it first came in, Dick, I said at that time, you've got to go for the three every time down because mathematically, you know, if you hit 2 out of 6 shots, three-point land, it's 6 points. You've got to hit 3 from inside. It's the same percentage to get the 6 points.
Rogers goes out having scored 11 points. Brasso, with 3 personals, committed the last Kentucky foul. Wildcats have 16 fouls. Just under 10 minutes remaining in this game. 34-point lead for Kentucky. Childress misses from outside, and Travis Ford the rebound. Biggest lead was 38 points for the Wildcats moments ago. Missing the 3, Brasso. Delp couldn't convert. Now Wake back with Harrison with a fine move. You mentioned he was a transfer from Georgetown, had problems early in the year with turnovers, and played in this tournament 2 years ago and did pretty well.
He's a good point guard. He distributes. He made Childress a better player because they can move him on to the second position.
Lucas and Brasso have to be separated after Lucas is called for the pushing foul, and he pushed Brasso down. Matt Kennedy talking about the free throws. You got to make some free throws. 18 for 38 for Florida State tonight.
And a lot of them were front end of 1-on-1.
I can see where Brasso may be a little perturbed, but the officials smartly separated the two. Mashburn goes out of the ball game. Jamal has not scored here in the second half. He scored 23 in the first half and hit 5 three-point baskets. Andre Riddick, a big fan favorite. Sophomore from New York City at 6'9". Riddick's a rejecter, pretty good shot blocker. That's what Rick calls him.
He's a little bit more weight upstairs through the chest.
Rickett working against Rogers.
Prickett's hurt a little bit over there. Might have just someone stepped on his toe or hit his toe somewhere.
This fellow is Todd Svoboda, who played in 11 games, a transfer from Northern Kentucky and a walk-on. When he comes into the game, especially in Lexington, the fans go wild. He's like the symbol, you know, that the white flag is out. Now, Svoboda probably will get in before this game is over, and the Kentucky faithful here will probably give him a cheer. Foul as Ford trying to go out around baseline, and it'll be on Harrison, his 3rd personal foul. Rodney Rogers has been playing with 4 fouls since early in this second half. Rogers with 11 points. Roderick Rhodes has come in the ball game, and Brasso sits down. So it's Delp and Rhodes, and Prickett, Ford, Riddick, who's hit on the wrist.
Looks like he's trying to put a saddle on him and give him a ride. Harrison just doesn't want him to score again, but he says, I'm sorry, buddy. That's what the NCAA is all about. That's what college basketball is all about. Play hard, shake hands after, go back and do some studying.
Probably not tonight, though. Harrison goes to the bench for a breather, and Riddick hits the free throw. 43% from the line. That's why you hear the cheers when Andre Riddick made the first one. Owens in, Hicks out for Wake Forest. Well, at this rate, it doesn't look like, Al, they're going to get to the Final Four as they did with your buddy Billy Packer back in 1962.
Now, Wake won't get to the Final Four, but Billy Packer was a good outside shot, but he never realized that basketball is played indoors.
Explain. Well, oh, you mean a high arcing shot?
No, he shot from the outside.
Oh. That is an old one, Al.
Yep, that's Milton Berle.
We brought it out of the mothballs. Rhodes commits his second foul. That was a team with Len Chappell, a big guy, and Billy Packer.
Big Lenny, he was the original cereal box.
Yeah. They lost to Ohio State. Bobby Knight played on that team, the eventual national champions. No, Cincinnati won the national championship that year. Ohio State got upset.
You know, all kidding aside, Billy Packer was a good offensive ball player.
Oh, terrific. You going to say you wouldn't know it now?
Well, he tells you every time you see him.
Rogers trying to force his way in, but the pushing foul is against Kentucky, and Prickett may have been hit with his fourth foul, and he was. That is the 8th team foul against Kentucky. Deacons with 7, so it's bonus time for both teams. Rick Pitino coaching as if this game were up for grabs. Rogers makes the first free throw.
You got to imagine this, Dick. 3 years ago, this is his 4th season, Rick Pitino. He came in, they had no players.
No, they had no players. They were
nothing, on probation.
13-19 was his record. They were on probation. First year, they had 8 scholarship players. They were limited by the NCAA. They played 500 ball. The next year, they were 22-6. Best record in the conference, but not eligible for postseason. And then last year, they almost got to the Final Four before the Christian Laettner shot. The shot heard round Durham, and now Rick Pitino is on a mission.
Yeah, he's on a mission. I think that he's a builder. I don't know how much staying. You know, I think he loves building teams and working with young people. I like the way he handled the Smashburn thing and going into the lottery in his junior year. There's only been 2 other guys that Kentucky has ever left. I think Earl, that was Payne, and the other guy was Chapman. The Kentucky fans are mad at Chapman because they thought that when they needed the most of all, he left. There was no one there. They were at least giving Rick Pitino a foundation.
Well, Pitino understands, and he's given him his blessing.
A tradition unlike any other. The Masters on CBS.
You have better things to do than having to think about how much you're paying for long distance.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on this stuff.
So AT&T makes it easy. With the iPlan, you get a good deal no matter how you call. No lists, names.
7:59 remaining and a 30-point lead for Kentucky. By the way, the Wildcats have tied a Southeast region record for most threes in a game. They've hit 14. The record was held, guess who, by Providence, set in '87 when Rick Pitino was their coach. They're going for another one with Delk hitting a 3. And one of the stars of that Providence team was Billy Donovan, the point guard, who's now an assistant coach on the Kentucky bench. Lucas trying to get it inside, and Rhodes with good defensive play. I'll tell you, Roderick Rhodes, for a guy who's been in the cave, has come out and played well tonight.
I tell you, we never mentioned it, but who's doing a dynamite job on Rogers is Prickett. He's stopping him head up. He's getting no help from anybody.
Prickett's going to be a good ball player.
He's not going to be a Larry Bird. Don't bring that up again. Larry Bird is once in 2 centuries. Well, they're still thinking down in Terre Haute that he's coming around tomorrow. No, Larry Bird.
Well, I didn't say that.
I know. The coach at Kentucky said it. Rick
Tina.
Right.
He said it. Missed the free throw, and here's Castle, freshman from Far Rockaway, New York. Castle into Rogers, has it batted away by Prickett, I believe. Here comes Kentucky again. They have 3-on-2. Ford.
The court wasn't balanced for that fast break. That's what broke it down.
Delk sets for the 3. Riddick gets the offensive board. 3-point attempt by Roderick Rhodes. And Kentucky has broken the Southeast Regional record for 3-point baskets with 15. 16 of 24. You need an abacus here to keep up with the 3. Castle has it batted away by Delk. And Ford brings it up against 2 gold-shirted Deacons and Delk. Doesn't convert the layup. 6:25 remaining. It's 89-53. It's all been the blue of Kentucky. Wake Forest never had the lead tonight. Childress. Foul as he goes to the hoop.
As the game moves on, I enjoy watching Rhodes. There's something there that greatness is written on him. It might be another year away, but he doesn't lack anything. I always look for softness in a ball player. Where's the Achilles heel? Where's the belly to take advantage of him? Hey, I don't want to take anything away from this guy's standing ovation because Ford was out of sight tonight.
Travis Ford gets the ovation. Sensational game at point guard. 10 of 11 field goals and 26 points for Ford. Ford's career high earlier this season was against Indiana with 29 points. There's the story of our game. Kentucky with blistering 3-point shooting, forcing Wake Forest into those turnovers, and Mashburn really salted the game away with a little help from his friends with a 23-point first half.
But you got to remember, if you make 16 3-pointers, that's 16 extra points. You know, 3 points is big. Very, very unselfish that time, Mr. Brown.
Martinez.
Tip my hat to you.
7 different Kentucky players have struck 3-point baskets, 5 for Ford and 5 for Mashburn. Right now they're going to rest their stars for the Florida State Regional Final coming your way Saturday. Childress now with 16, and traveling call will turn it back over to Wake Forest.
The Demon Deacons are playing hard. They're moving. They're doing their best. They were hit by a sledgehammer, or they're hit by an 18-wheeler early.
Or both.
Yep.
Owens will go out, and Hicks is back. There's the Kentucky bench. Wildcats will go 29-3 on the season. And 1 game away from their 10th Final Four appearance.
Don't forget these Wildcats beat Indiana earlier on a neutral court by 3 points.
Prickett gets the rebound ahead to Brady, and he gets the layup. The largest margin ever in an NCAA tournament game, in case you're interested, was 69 points. No one will touch that. Loyola of Chicago back when they won the title in '63 trounced Tennessee Tech by that margin.
It was a white knuckler, huh?
Yeah, and you would have walked out on me then, I bet. And the largest ever in a regional game is 49 points. UCLA over Wyoming back in '67 in the West region. Here's, we showed you Billy Donovan, and another interesting story on the Kentucky bench is Bernadette Locke Maddox, who was a star at Georgia in 1980. And she was hired by Rick as a full-time assistant. She is not just someone who helps with academics. She coaches the team. She goes on scouting trips. And the other thing about Bernadette Locke Maddox, and we'll show her again, is the fact that she may be the only assistant coach with a clothing deal. And, you know, she looks terrific with her wardrobe. every time Kentucky plays.
But out of Georgia, she did also help with academics down there, and she's a big assistant on that end of the academic and the basketball end.
She wants to be a head coach somewhere, either women's or men's basketball, but she has learned a great deal.
Well, she should apply to Georgia Tech, Grambling Wreck, the Yellow Jackets.
Bobby Cremins headed for South Carolina. You weren't surprised at that, were you?
No, but they better get a coach fast because they'll start raiding those ball players. That Travis Best is a tremendous ball player. So they got to move in I look to me the inside track to be Clark from Tulane.
Brown, Dale Brown, and 12 points. Leading scorer for Kentucky is Ford with 26, Mashburn with 23, and Brown third with 12. Kentucky only had 2 players in double figures scoring on the season coming into this game.
Every time a job opens, you got to mention Foley, you got to mention Roy Williams. But I think both those guys in their dreams want someday to end up back in sky blue.
Yeah, they want to be with North Carolina, and that's going to be when Dean Smith gives it up, probably enough for another 25 years.
Well, there's also a great assistant at Georgia Tech. You know, I'm sorry, Dick, but I think it's Kassane. I think that's the way you spell his name. I know the guy real well, but I forget my children's name.
Was he from New York? I forget my children's name.
Who's not from New York?
Hicks misses the free throw after getting the basket. Childress fires a 3, and he's short. Brown comes down with it. Brady is on the wing. Brown off the play. Name your children now.
My children, I got 3 lovely children. Allie, Robbie, and Noreen, and I got 4 great-grandchildren.
Okay, we just wanted the children name, and you did that.
Yeah, I got it done.
Here is Todd Svoboda, the big guy who transferred. He's a walk-on, chemical engineering degree, played 2 games in Nashville, and the fans went wild, so he has appeared in every Kentucky tournament game this year.
I doubt whether he'll get in against Florida State on Saturday.
Unless we have the same kind of score. Hicks doesn't get the roll, and Svoboda gets the rebound. Todd Svoboda is a senior from Cincinnati, Ohio. Rhodes trying to get it to him. All hustle that fellow. We'll be back.
Chemical engineers fall easily.
Choosing your first new car sure can be complicated. There are cars that promise you safety. Cars that are well built and well backed. Cars that won't leave you stranded. Cars that give you a break on the price. Even cars that help with your down payment. But Chevrolet makes it easy to get all of the above in the Chevy Cavalier, the lowest priced car in America with standard anti-lock brakes. Test drive Chevy Cavalier today at your neighborhood Chevrolet dealer.
For all of you with the courage to go it alone, to put your future on the line and your name on the door, there's the corporate card from American Express. Use it for all your business expenses. We'll organize them by category and even provide records of charges. It's a great way for any company to get a handle on costs. Call.
Back here in Charlotte, Dick Stockton and Al McGuire along with Jim Gray. Kentucky leading Wake Forest 97-60 with 3:39 remaining. Kentucky with all of their reserves on the court, including Amino Timberlake, the sophomore from Chicago who's seeing his first action. There's a 3-point basket by Dave Rasmussen, a senior from Lansing, seeing his first action. Lansing, Michigan, of course. Timberlake in the ball game, so Rick Pitino has used, I believe, everybody on his roster. Timberlake loses it, and here is a Canty come in. That's Barry Canty, who's from Charlotte, so going to be exciting for young Canty from Charlotte, freshman. Under 3 minutes to play, 97-63. And a foul inside will send Hicks to the line. Kentucky will have won its 9th in a row 9 straight victories by Kentucky, and they have rolled over their opposition since postseason. In 6 games, it'll be over 30 points easily that they have averaged in their victory. Rogers goes out of the game. Rodney Rogers has left for Wake Forest. Waning minutes of this regional semifinal. Kentucky 97, Wake Forest 64. What was billed as a big battle between Rodney Rogers and Jamal Mashburn. The monster matchup never to be, as Rogers left the game, scored 14 points and 4 rebounds. And a lot of people think he will go to the NBA, even though he is not committed as Mashburn has, who finished the game with 23 himself.
This game was decided 5-6 minutes into the game. It's been no contest. Wake just has been overplayed, overshot, over defense, turnovers. It just wasn't there tonight.
Outclassed, and not a knock on Wake. Even Rick Pitino said, as you look at Travis Ford, who had a brilliant game. Ford with 26 points and 4 assists and great shooting from the field. He was 10 of 11. Is that Rick Pitino even said that this was the best first half of basketball he has ever witnessed in his career.
To defend Wake, you got to remember North Carolina, by a lot of people saying, hey, North Carolina's going to win it all Steen Smith's year. During the season, Wake beat North Carolina. Wake Forest, the team you're watching now, by 26 points. So how do you figure it out?
Well, you figure that Kentucky is making a beeline to the Final Four, and the only team standing in its way is Florida State. We'll find out if they can get there. Svoboda gets the rebound. By the way, Dale Brown has 16 points. He's had a great game offensively and on the defensive end as well. 2 minutes to go in this one. Game was decided early on. But Kentucky went on a 28-4 run.
Oh, what a pass. Dick Rhodes just made a pass that was outstanding.
With the basket and Rhodes with the feed.
All the athletic ability in the world. This is a pass that I even doubt that Magic could have made. Watch it. A freshman making a pro pass.
And comparing him to Magic Johnson, very good, Al.
Well, no, the pass style.
I'm only kidding.
Oh, but this kid is definitely a player. He was in the doghouse, rightfully so, or not. I don't know the infighting on that. But today was good to see him out playing. Good to see him smile a few times tonight. Let's hope he got his game together and he's out of the doghouse.
Dale Brown leaves the game. He scored 16 points. Kentucky. And the layup to Kentucky for the 7th time in NCAA tournament history that they've scored over 100 points. LaRue with the basket. 101-67 to score. Score at halftime was 60-26 in favor of the Wildcats. Svoboda doesn't let it go. Kentucky fans would have gone wild over that. He's the mascot, right? Who comes, not really, but he's the guy they cheer when he comes in late in the game.
Every school has a fellow that the fans love. And if it's a lopsided score, they want him to get in, then they want him to finish. And they're going to finish right now. Oh, that was goaltending. Give it to him. Yeah, they gave it to him. Here comes the fans, the ones to the left. The big blue never go home to the final horn.
Yeah. Svoboda misses the free throw, but he scored a basket. 103-67. Fitzgibbons, Rasmussen, Stan King, LaRue. 3-point shot missed by Fitzgibbons, and Barry Canty in there for Wake Forest. And a steal.
Take it all away, all the way, all the way.
And an injured player is David Rasmussen, right in front of the Wake Forest bench. Well, our Chevrolet MVPs, most valuable player, Randolph Childress, who had 18 points and 2 3-point baskets for Wake Forest, and Jamal Mashburn and Travis Ford. You had to give it a Ford for his 26 points, 10 of 11 shooting throughout. And Mashburn, who really put the game away with 23 points and 5 for 5 shooting in the first half. And they are Chevrolet most valuable players of the game. Kentucky, Florida State. So again, Kentucky will have to play an ACC team. They disposed of Wake, and now they have to go against Florida State, and this is what it looks like. Top seed will advance and go against the number 3 seed Florida State Seminoles, a team that won in overtime over Western Kentucky but didn't look that good in doing it.
They'll all be close games. The Elite Eight is pretty much just flip a dime between all of them now.
That was Stan King who missed a shot. So Rick Pitino is 1 game away from getting to the Final Four, something that was denied him last year by Christian Laettner with a second to go. They went the length of the court, the big shot at the buzzer in overtime, and that broke the hearts of the Wildcat fans and Rick. But he's back here again, 29-3, and 1 game away from going to New Orleans.
He was born to be a coach.
Yeah, that was the title of his book, Born to Coach, and that's the true title. Gets the final basket of the game. And when they add up the numbers and Rick Pitino shakes the hand of Dave Odom, final score, Kentucky with a big win over Wake Forest. So for Al McGuire and Jim Gray, this is Dick Stockton saying so long from Charlotte. The final score, Kentucky 103 and Wake Forest 69. And this game has been a presentation of CBS Sports. And right now, let's send you to our New York studios and Pat O'Brien. Pat?
All right, Dick, Al, thank you very much. Good job tonight. Kentucky advances in the tournament, beating Wake Forest 103-69, putting on a clinic, really, 16 for 24 three-point shots, and Kentucky advances. Elsewhere in the Southeast Regional semifinal, Florida State beat Western Kentucky 81-78 in an overtime game. And so as we look at that bracket, it'll be Kentucky and Florida State. The tip time Saturday, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. We, of course, will be here for that. In the Midwest Regional semifinal, Kansas, in the 3rd straight game in the tournament, Kansas had 5 players in double figures, a 93-76 over Jason Kidd and Cal. Indiana beat Louisville 82-69. Calvert Cheney with a big night, 32 points. And so we look at the Midwest bracket now. Indiana meets Kansas again. This is a 3:38 tip. A 6 p.m. tip on Saturday, rather. Indiana and Kansas. Kansas beat them earlier in the season. Bobby Knight would like revenge there. And Florida State and Kentucky, by the way, is a 3:38 tip. Had those mixed up, and that's on Saturday. We'll be here all day for that. Tomorrow, our coverage begins at 7:30. Some of you will see Virginia and Cincinnati, then George Washington, Michigan. Our second tier of games, Arkansas, North Carolina, Temple, and Vanderbilt. For those of you still watching, we'd like to thank you for sticking with us this late. For all of us here at CBS Sports, good night, everybody.